these guys are not actually playing one another in theory, they're playing the lane. If they can beat the lane, overcome it, then they should be able to shoot scores big enough to beat their opponent. So it's the lane they're after, and Chris doesn't really like that one, but he's going to carry 10 pins anyway, whether his footwork was good or not.
Well, it gets to this sort of time and you start wondering, you start dreaming. Well, some of us do.
I'm not even going to go there. Chris has got 6 strikes in a row. He's, well, we're going to say locked and loaded. He's now going to start concentrating because he thinks, well, I've got this lane virtually beaten. Let's see how far we can go. And if we can take the scalp of Dom Barrett at the same time, it's a point for Team USA.
Oh, he's really hit the groove now, Dom.
Yeah, he goes 5 strikes in a row. It's just showing you the style and the expertise of these players, that when they get on a lane in a tournament that really suits their style and they get loaded, they can just hit strike after strike. And this is why maximum games do occur. Just have to hope that you can get a lane that suits you. This lane has not been dressed since the Baker match earlier on, so some oil has been moved around. Yeah, just trying to get settled there with those feet. Nice shoes, Chris. That's a classic 5-step approach up to the line.
Is it another? Yes, it is.
Wow.
Oh, wow. An early treat in this opening session of the Weber Cup. It's Chris Barnes, and he is flying.
Yes, 7 in a row for Superman. He's certainly acting like Superman at the moment. I don't know if he's got any telephone boxes to turn around and change in, but he's got lots of room to go on the score sheet. He needs, dare I say it, another 5 strikes in a row. And he'll raise the roof here at Weber Cup 14.
Here comes Dom. Oh. Well, the run ends for Dom Barrett. And are we seeing, well, the USA's first point?
Well, it's early doors yet, but good shots like that leave the 10-pin unexplainably are likely the loser, the match loser. I mean, it was a good shot, and normally you would accept a spare, but not good enough, I'm afraid, and that could well let Chris Barnes in. And you can see the difference in the scores. Chris is still on the maximum, and Dominic can only hit 2.69 thanks to those 2 single-pin spares.
Barnes, perfect so far. It's frame 8. There he goes once again, Cass. Ah, what terrific form from Chris Barnes straight away here.
I've seen quite a few 300 games rolled in my 40-odd years in this sport, but it's always nice to see another one, and it's always nice to see one on television. Now, Chris Barnes has actually bowled a 300 game on television in the United States, one of the 20-odd that has actually happened. But you can see the concentration on his face now. He's in the mood, getting into the mode.
That's a strike for Dom.
Let's take nothing away from Dom Barrett. He's bowled a really good game here so far. He's had 2 single-pin spares, which could well have been strikes, and he too could have actually been on 8 strikes in a row.
Yeah, this is where Chris starts to think about things a little more, and this is where keeping composed gets you through, I would imagine, Cass. So you've seen a few perfect games in your time. I think you're being modest, you've rolled a few as well.
Yeah, not as many as this man, though. Chris has just taken a re-rack, which he's allowed to do. He wasn't happy with the setup of the pin, so he's asked for a fresh deck, which has been now set up. So he's just gathering himself for this really important shot in the foundation frame. It's frame number 9.
Perfect so far. Still perfect. He likes it.
I love it. It's just fantastic. That's 9 strikes in a row. A classic style of probably the #1 player in the world. Ripping the rack, 9 strikes in a row. And the next time he stands up, it will be the 10th frame, and he will be bowling, hopefully, for a 300 game. We can talk about it now. He's got this far, and wouldn't this be great? Kind of unfortunate that Dom Barrett has almost been a spectator in this game, although he really has bowled well. And there's another strike for him. He's still pacing 260 odd. But here we have Chris Barnes, the Team USA captain, as hot as you like. 9 strikes in a row. Everybody's holding their breath.
Dom's 269, already a score that would have comfortably won a good handful of singles matches last year, and will no doubt be a score sufficient to do the same this year. But right now it is all about Chris Barnes. Oh, he gave it a look, but they all tumbled, and this is on.
He's got a big smile on his face. This was slightly fortunate, but it's the 10th frame. And look how light that is on the head pin. And he's got some mix. The 5 pin was the last to go. And this is so important for him.
He stared it down, didn't he? He stared that down.
1 down, 2 to go. Come on, Chris, make this a good one.
Can he do it? Oh. We're 1 bowl away. Tommy Jones has done it 3 times here at the Metrodome. Paul Moore back in 2006 broke the mould. But now it is Chris Barnes, the daddy of this United States team, with a chance to write his name in Weber Cup history, to add another chapter.
Just gathering his thoughts. 1 look at the pins down the far end. A nice deep breath. He's got 11 strikes in a row behind him. This for 300.
It's Chris Barnes. Is it a perfect game? Yes, it is! What a start to this Weber Cup. In the opening singles match, there is a standing ovation for Chris Barnes. He was perfect there. He was brilliant. Chris Barnes with a perfect game.
Superman rules, Superman smiles. This is the final shot. He's laid it out. He's hit his mark. The speed's good, the rotation is good, and the chain reaction in the back end is just fantastic. 12 great strikes, and look at the body reaction there. Everybody just loves this man and his bowling.
Paul Moore, Tommy Jones, and now Chris Barnes. Perfect men at the Weber Cup. Chris Barnes with that perfect game levels up Weber Cup 14. It is 1-1. Barnes has got his breath back, hopefully, in order to speak to Tony.
Chris, many congratulations. You've just written your name into the Weber Cup history books. How does it feel?
It feels like I have about 6 less than Tommy does on this lane, actually. But yeah, it's a great feeling. We knew Dom got lined up at the end in the Baker match, and we figured it would take a big game to get there. And a couple lucky breaks changed that match completely.
I mean, it is such a hard thing to do. We often, you know, if you don't often watch 10-pin on TV, we might say it's like a 147 in snooker or a 9-darter in darts. You know what those things are, don't you?
I've heard of them.
But this is tough, and it's just a real treat for everyone in Barnsley to watch. And did you feel like you had it in you?
I wouldn't have guessed before the match started. I would have thought Dom could get to 250, which didn't surprise me at all, but 230 was closer to what I thought was what I was capable of.
And you're now part of Weber Cup history. so early in this tournament. What does it mean for the rest of the weekend?
Well, really, it means we're 1-1, and I'm lined up, and I probably won't be a captain's pick later. That's mostly what it means right now. But, we don't want to get down too far early. They bowl great in the Baker match. All of them were lined up, so we couldn't afford to get down 0-2 and put a lot of pressure. We've got our best guy coming up next, but, you never want to be far behind.
And for now, surely a glass of champagne to celebrate that brilliant, brilliant performance.
Maybe a pint somewhere along the line.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is this year's Mr. 300, Chris Barnes. Well, they call him Superman, and Chris Barnes has served up the perfect game here in Barnsley. We'll see you next time.